Good evening, listeners. You're listening to the Keith Harris Show, Global Network, right here on Hotline Radio. I hope everybody's tuned in today. We've been waiting for a long time to have this serious, wonderful guy, excellent film director as well as producer and actor as well, on the show with us today. Without further ado, here is Steve Oakley. How you doing, Steve?
I'm doing good. I hope you're doing good, and I hope everybody listening to the show is also doing good.
That's right. That's right. I'm doing. I know I'm doing fine over here myself, and it is what it is. What's the weather like over there right now, Steve?
Well, over here in the Los Angeles area, the heat wave is over, and it's regular 79-degree weather. So we finally reached the fall.
Okay, that's what's up. I know that's right. So look,
we needed that.
Right. Now, yeah, we got plenty of rain over here all day long. I guess it storms all up and down the East Coast, but we could have used the rain, I suppose, too. So it's all right. Now, all right. Now let's go into it. The film, just the film industry in general. Let the people know out there that you are a film director, correct?
Yeah, I make independent films.
And what are you guys working on now? I think it's Natural Born Filmmakers. Is that the name of the film, or?
Yeah, it's a personal project about the film industry in a way, and how films are financed. And I used Quentin Tarantino as a role model on this project. And you might say it's an homage to Quentin. What I decided was you can make films with new technology, and obviously the one roadblock to filmmaking is funding.
Okay.
Lots of people look for funding, Indiegogo and all these other little fundraising websites, and I don't think I have one friend on earth that would give me a penny, probably for anything. So I decided to make films without money. They're called no-budget films.
Okay.
And that's kind of a misnomer, because yes, it does take certain things to make a film. Donnelly Heising is helping out in getting some food for the people. Other than that, I'm finding donated locations, and I happen to have some very affordable film equipment that anybody can buy, either on Amazon or at Walmart or anywhere. I'm using little Avario cameras from JVC. They look like a little birthday camera for filming birthdays. They're high definition though.
Right.
And I use multiple cameras with the I Love Lucy approach, where we shoot different angles simultaneously, which allows for editing to be easier. And then I bring other people on board that happen to have cameras, and then, the more the merrier. That way everybody has a camera pointed at them in a scene. And it's easier to edit. If you had 7 cameras going, it wouldn't hurt. It's a little more complicated for the editing, but it allows you to get everybody's close-up in one take. So you can keep the camera rolling and feed people lines or give them readings or direct them while the camera's rolling, and it just makes the whole thing a little easier. And nowadays, people don't have time for rehearsal.
Okay.
And therefore, you're kind of rehearsing, and you're cold reading, and you're shooting a movie all in one fell swoop.
Right. So
and that's kind of the way we work these days, the way that I'm working on this film.
So it's not so much as so a lot of times now your actors, they don't have to go like read your script and then try to memorize like a whole page worth full of lines.
Well, they actually Some of them. This final sequence is 30 pages in the script. And we're going to shoot that in one day tomorrow from 3 p.m. to 2 a.m.
Right.
Now, if they don't have it nailed perfectly, somebody's going to be on book feeding them the lines.
Okay.
Because we don't have time to go over it and 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 over it. So
now without
if they do know their lines, that's the best. If they don't know their lines, we can feed it to them. But at the same time, we'll also be doing improvisational scenes that don't even have a script.
Okay. And by now, without giving away too many secrets, how do you manage to feed the actors the lines and still be able to film at the same time without people being able to notice that that's what's going on?
Well, editing. That's the key to editing. If you tell me my next line is, "Hi, how are you?" then I can say, "Hi, how are you?"
Okay.
And then as long as the camera shows me saying, "Hi, how are you?" then I can edit that in. So it's just all editing. Movie making is editing. If you sit and watch any show, any movie, any TV show, turn off the audio, look at the angles, you're just going to see a lot of angles, mostly medium shots and close-ups.
Okay.
That's pretty much what everybody's using for most of the storytelling. And so as long as you have, if 5 cameras are rolling and there's 5 actors in a scene, and somebody's feeding the lines, and if the line reading is wrong, if someone says, "Hi, how are you?" and I want them to say, "Hi, how are you?" I'll tell them, say it like this, "Hi, how are you?"
Right.
And then they'll go, "Hi, how are you?" And I'll go, no, not that way. "Hi, how are you?" "Hi, how are you?" they say. Bingo, we got it. So you can keep the thing rolling. And the word film is a lie. Nobody uses film mostly anymore.
Okay.
It's really digital. But they don't say, "I'm making a digital."
Oh.
So they say, "I'm making a film." Mostly they don't use film anymore for cameras or for movies.
Right.
We're all using digital recorders.
Right.
So, even when you go see big movies, they were shot on red cameras, which are digital recorders. It's all digital, mostly.
Okay.
So the bottom line is, we still use the word film, which is a big lie. It's only a film if it was shot in film. And film generally runs at 24 frames a second. And that's what they've been shooting in for years. Right. So you can shoot in video or digital in 24 frames a second also.
Okay.
Or 29.97 or 30 frames a second, like television. Our eyeballs are used to either one now. And if you watch a high-def TV, it looks like video.
Okay.
For some reason.
And the watcher just doesn't know the difference.
Yeah, our eye sees it as video now. And it could be film. They could have shot in film. You could rent a film. But it's gone digital. So if you rent it on DVD or Blu-ray, it's digital. So everything looks like a football game now.
Okay.
And we're used to it visually.
Okay.
You can make a movie that can look like a football game, and they call that a movie, and it's not a movie. So it's all part of a game that we play. But I'm making this film about these filmmakers that get money from the mafia to make a film. The distributor steals all the money, and they flip out and go on a rampage. And the ending of the movie takes place in a club downtown LA, an actual swingers club.
Okay.
And it's called Club Joy. And it's where all of these vampires and mafia people and swingers and murderers all show up at a party on Halloween, and all hell breaks loose.
So this is like the party for the underworld, pretty much.
Yeah, it's in a way, or Friday the 13th, because there's a crazy killer on the loose.
Okay.
And then it's a little bit of Eyes Wide Shut, because everybody's wearing masks.
Man.
And then it's a little bit of Natural Born Killers, all combined into this goofy little ending. And most of my movies, Addicted to Blood and Waiting for Dracula, and I've done about a dozen movies. Almost every movie I make is exploitation, and it's in the horror genre for the most part.
Right.
And exploitation means there's generally some vampires or murders or nudity, or mafia or something. It gives it an exploitative feel, and that way there's a certain market for that. It's not a very big market, but it's a certain market, and that's pretty much what I aim for with all my movies.
Well, the people like that though. I mean, the guts, the nudity. I mean, the horror, the mafia, the murder. I mean, let's be honest. The people love that though, right? That I've noticed.
Yeah, there's a market for exploitation, and sooner or later I'll branch out to other parts of the spectrum. I'd love to do a film noir movie, but I'm working, in today's world, there's lack of money versus lack of art.
Okay.
And almost everybody is writing movies they can't make.
Right.
And they're trying to raise money for movies. And God bless them. But my motto is make a movie while you're waiting. And it'll piss a lot of people off, but anybody can make a movie.
Okay.
And they're all making movies anyway. So what is an actor? An actor is somebody who runs around auditioning all the time.
Right.
And they hardly get any work.
Right.
But in this modern world, they can make movies that they star in themselves. This is what I tell actors all the time. Write your own movie. Well, I don't know how to write. Well, then go to junior college and take a screenwriting course.
Right.
Shoot your own movie. Well, I don't know how to shoot a movie. Go to junior college and take a production course.
But now,
edit your own movie.
How
I don't know how to edit. Go to junior college and take an editing course.
Right. Learn yourself, in other words. But now, how would someone in that position? How would someone in that position be able to find other actors or actresses to be in the movie as well, and without a budget?
Well, once again, go to junior college and take an acting class.
Okay.
It's full of actors.
Oh, right. Okay. It makes sense.
Shakespeare said all the world's a stage and all the men and women merely players. Well, what he was talking about is every day we get up and we improv all day long in a play called life. So everybody is acting. If you go to Der Wiener Schnitzel and walk up to the counter and order a chili dog, you're playing the part of the guy ordering the chili dog, and the girl behind the counter that takes your order is playing the part of the girl that takes your order. But we're always acting. So,
okay.
Actors are everywhere, and everybody's an actor.
So it's like life is like a movie.
Yeah, you can find people that'll work in your project anywhere in the country, anywhere in the world, and that's the purpose of low budget or no budget. It's like find people. There's actors in every city, and if they're not actors, make them actors. And if they don't know how to learn lines, you read them the lines. So you'd be surprised. Marlon Brando hardly learned any lines towards the end of his career. People either read them to him, he would put an earphone in his ear that you couldn't see, and they would read him the script, or he wrote it down on a card, or they have teleprompters or cards. It's all an illusion. Filmmaking is just editing. So as long as somebody can give that person the line to say, anybody can say it.
Right.
Anybody can play a pirate. anybody can play a cowboy.
Okay.
So it's easy enough to do, and what I do though is I only write things that I can do.
Right.
I don't write things that are beyond free.
Okay.
So, in other words, everybody has a living room. Everybody has a car. Everybody has a place they work. Clerks, that great movie. Smith's movie Clerks was all inside a little, like a 7-Eleven place, a little like a liquor store place.
Right.
And he found that, and he shot the whole movie there. So it's a matter of, that's what I do. I either write for generic, like if it's a living room, you can always find a living room.
Uh-huh.
This swingers club, I found a guy that runs a swingers club, and he's going to let me film there.
Okay.
So I suddenly wrote all of this to take place there. And the only other missing ingredients are audio and lights. But nowadays, they have Cowboy Lighting, which is a company that makes very affordable lights, like 3 lights for $150.
Okay.
So you can always afford 3 lights. Or you can go to Home Depot and buy work lights. Or actually, you can get like the little aluminum light holder that you can screw a light in.
Right.
And it has a clamp on it. You can buy those at Home Depot.
And these are the lights that you would put over top of the scenes that you're shooting.
You could use those lights. There's many ways to light a scene, and or you can get the cowboy lights, which are a little more like film lights.
Okay.
And lighting is an issue. You have to have light on it, or you can't see it, and you have to hear it. So nowadays, you can buy a thing called a Zoom, which is a little battery-operated recorder that you can stick a microphone in.
Right.
And you can go over to Home Depot and get if you're going to paint, you can get one of the poles that you can put the roller on.
Uh-huh.
And you can use that roller pole to actually put a microphone on and hold it over somebody. And you can buy microphones affordably on Craigslist.
Right.
So, I mean, everything is doable. You just have to want to do it. You can go to Craigslist and buy a laptop that has editing on it.
Mm-hmm.
And you can go to school and learn how to use the editing.
Okay.
And then suddenly, instead of being an actor that's begging for work,
you
can actually do your own thing.
You can become the creator.
Yeah, everybody can do that now. And a lot of people would argue with me saying, oh, it takes a special talent and it takes this and that. All it really takes is the ambition to do it.
Mm-hmm.
The schools are, if you're broke, they're free.
Right.
If you have a couple bucks, they're almost free to go to these junior colleges, community colleges. So that anybody that says I can't do it is just making an excuse.
Right. Okay. Now let's talk about what about, okay, we were speaking of audio earlier. How important is the audio behind the movie? Is it necessary?
Well, audio is very important. Lighting is important. And yet these cameras used under the right conditions, these little Varios by JVC, these little, Sony makes them, Canon makes them. You go to Fry's Electronics or Circuit City or one of these electronic stores. They all sell these little tiny cameras that aren't very big, 4 or 5 inches long by about 1.5 inches wide.
Mm-hmm.
And then you open up a viewfinder on the side. Those cameras all have microphones built in. If you learn the limitations of those microphones, you really don't need a boom mic. You don't need a Zoom to record it on. But in certain situations, you're going to have audio problems.
Right.
Wind is a big problem. So you really don't want to get out and film in the wind. So if you're going to shoot outdoors, you really want to be only shooting on a day when there's no wind and it's just a nice day. And if there's noise, that'll be a problem. So you kind of want to avoid noise. And audio is very important, but you can get away with just camera mics. I mostly have shot this whole movie with just camera mics. And I use 3 or 4 or 5 cameras. Each camera has, I have my friends come with their cameras, and each camera has audio, so you never know where the good audio is. You listen, if you find the bad audio, you listen to the other audios until you can find a good audio and eliminate the bad audio. So it's a structural phenomenon.
Right. Because
it's not very difficult, and it's something you can learn in a 4-month course in any junior college production. Every junior college generally has some kind of video or filmmaking or multimedia production courses. So like in 1 year, you can learn how to edit, write, and make a movie from soup to nuts.
Okay. Now,
in 2 semesters.
When you get ready to film, like when you're speaking about the weather and things, how long do you have to? Now, when you're shooting inside scenes, it's a lot easier because inside you can set your noise. But when you're doing it when you're getting ready to film outside, how far ahead do you need to watch the weather forecast? I'm assuming you need to watch that. And what happens if it's supposed to be sunny and then it rains instead? Like, that means that's not a go.
You have options. If the weather is bad, you may have to cancel. Or if you have one of those when you go to Home Depot, you can buy one of those stands that have a tarp on top. And you could get underneath that and have your actors get underneath that. And if you shoot in such a way that you don't see the tarp or the poles, you can still have the romance of the rain and not get wet. There's all kinds of solutions to most problems.
That's what I was wondering. So when we're watching movies and it's raining and people are standing in the rain, they're not actually. Are they actually in the rain? Or like, are the cameras? The cameras aren't.
They could be in the rain, but generally speaking, they don't want to put cameras in the rain. So the cameraman is under something. And the camera is under something. So they won't get that wet.
Now, during the filming, talking about Waiting on Dracula, a movie that you've done in the past, what inspired that idea for you? Like, where'd you come up with the concept for that one?
That's a funny one. Lately, when I first started filmmaking, I had more resources and I took longer to make movies. I could take 5, 6, 7 different days of shooting over the course of time, 8 days, 9 days. Now, when it came down to Waiting for Dracula, I was driving in the car and I told my wife I figured out how to make a 2-day movie. And she said, "You're insane." I said, "I know I'm insane, but I still figured out a way to make a 2-day movie." And the reason it has to be 2 days is because the biggest problem is feeding people. So you got to have some food for 2 days. If you have to feed people more days, it costs more money for food, obviously. So I decided, in order to do that film, I would have Dracula finding new vampiruses because all of his vampiruses have been killed by Van Helsing. The first part of it is I found a warehouse where he's hiding out and he's turning women into vampires. So he has his group of vampiruses. That was 40 pages, half a movie script.
And
90 pages is a movie script.
And you're talking
So
about 2 days.
One day, we shot that. Now,
what?
I was planning on shooting a second day, but Dracula quit the movie because he got a big movie part, and I suddenly didn't have Dracula.
Oh man, the main.
I'm only 45 minutes into this movie, and I don't have a Dracula, and I can't change Draculas.
Right.
Can't redo what I've done. So the concept was, in existential literature, there's the play Waiting for Godot, or The Importance of Being Earnest was another play from years earlier, an English play by Noel Coward. And in both plays, in The Importance of Being Earnest, there never was an earnest. And in Waiting for Godot, Godot never shows up.
Oh.
So it occurred to me that I can call this thing Waiting for Dracula, and that if we had a party going on with vampires and the people they're dining on, they could be waiting for Dracula, and I could cut back and forth. Okay. So there's how we did it. We found a place to have a party where these vampires were dining on people and killing them, and they're waiting for Dracula. In the meantime, Dracula's making his vampiruses, so it cuts back and forth, intercutting, and there it is, a 2-day movie. But it was a little more complicated than that, because the second day ended up being in a house in Malibu, and we had all kinds of scenes taking place, and there was another actor in this, Domiciano Arcangeli, who's also a director, and by breaking it up into 2 teams of 2 cameras and 2 lighting crews and 2 sound crews, we could use this mansion and be in different rooms at the same time shooting. So we were able to do 13 scenes in a 12-hour day by 2 teams shooting. So it's a little more complicated than a simple 2-day shoot.
Right.
That right there, that one day was like 2 days, because it was 2 teams. And like I say, 13 scenes is quite a few scenes to do in a day.
Yeah.
And we accomplished another 45 pages. So that's how we did the 90 minutes. It was its own problem, but the solution was 2 teams of shooters. Now, tomorrow, the problem is there's 1 team of shooters.
Okay.
Me and the people I'm working with. We have to accomplish almost as much as the second day of Waiting for Dracula or the first day. And the way we're going to do it is enough cameras so that we can shoot each scene only once. And let the camera start rolling and keep rolling until we're done with all of the takes and all of the changes. That way, let's say it's a 5-minute scene.
Yeah.
We've got it lit. Probably in 15 to 20 minutes maximum, we're done with that scene. That's 5 pages.
5 pages
so
in 20 minutes.
8 times 15 minutes or so, that's the shooting time of the movie, of the end of the movie.
Right.
But the problem is lighting and getting each scene set to go can take almost an hour. So the idea is to get that sucker set up, lit, and shot. Next. Set up, lit, shot. Next. Until we're done.
Right. So the long part of the process, like you say, is setting the scenes itself. The actors and actresses are pretty much ready to go, and as you say, you can feed them their lines anyway if they don't remember.
Yeah, you have to today, because that's the way these independent films have become. But if you're working in television and you're working on a big show, they won't allow that. You better know every line. You better know it perfectly and not change a word. If you change a word, they'll fire you. You'll get in trouble.
Right.
So the difference between an independent film and a professional series or a really a high-end movie, they're not going to pay a guy $2 or $3 million for a script and have somebody ad-lib it.
Right. Okay, I see what you're saying. But now at the same time, you know, the independent films where you can kind of ad-lib and a lot of times are just as great as the feature films, like the major films, though, right?
They can be, but there's another problem in filmmaking. Once upon a time, maybe 900 films were made worldwide a year.
Right.
Worldwide. And that included studio films and independent films and everywhere, all the countries. Now, worldwide, these digital films, there's probably, I don't know, 50,000 being made.
Wow.
I might be exaggerating, but every country is putting out a lot because everybody's shooting with iPhones and affordable cameras.
Right.
And they can also make movies with iPhones or with smartphones. So at the end of the day, there's so much being made that nobody can find any of it, and it's not going anywhere. That's the time we're living in.
Okay.
I say anybody can make a film. Yeah, anybody can make a film, and anybody is making a film.
But it clusters
so
up.
That's a problem.
But because it causes a cluster for kind of areas. It's like you got 200 people making films, but there are only 3 films that can actually get through. Now, what about the film? What about film festivals and things of that nature? Like, do they do any good? Well, I'm sure they do.
That's all we have now for our career is the film festival, because the festival allows you to have the movie get discovered and seen, and that's the purpose of the film anyway, is to get it seen. So as long as you can get in a film festival, even if you can't make money out of the film, you can enjoy having people watch it, and you can watch it on the big screen yourself. And these video films, these digital films, they're all putting projectors in the movie theaters that they can play DVDs and Blu-rays on. So now you don't need a film in a film theater to be seen. And so there's a lot of good revolutionary stuff going on. There's a regular high definition, and there's 4K like the Red camera, and the normal television is 1920 by 1080. That's high definition, and that'll fit the film screen. But now there's twice that information with the 4,000, the 4K cameras coming out. So instead of 1920, which is approximately 2,000 pixels, they have 4,000 pixels, and who knows where it'll go from there. But it's an interesting time, and some of these cameras, these high-end cameras, there's cheap versions of them being put out by everybody.
Right.
These 4K cameras, even the GoPro is 4K now. The little cheap GoPro that anybody can afford is 4,000 pixels. So it's a tricky time to do movies, although it's an impossible time to make money out of movies.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I see. Now, going on to reality. You know, we could talk about the reality shows and things of that nature. Is there so many coming out nowadays? What tell us about that, because I know you look at and as well direct reality shows too. Also, tell us a little about that and how is it, and which one do you enjoy? Do you enjoy doing the movies or the reality shows better, or?
I actually enjoy both. They're apples and oranges, but they're both nutritious, and the reality ideas are ad-libbed, they're non-scripted.
Right.
I enjoy that because no one has to memorize any lines, and yet everybody sets up ideas, storylines,
Right.
and then people improv it. So I enjoy those, and with the explosion of reality shows on cable and on the internet and on television, that's what I pursue mostly, is finding reality show ideas to develop. And that's its own problem because the networks are getting hit with approximately 500 ideas for every one they buy.
Wow. So everybody's trying to do one. So, you know, that
everybody's trying to do that. Everybody's making a film. Everybody's singing and making records.
yep.
And we're all going to the poor farm.
You're right, because everybody's doing it. Yeah, exactly.
Everybody's doing it, and it's very tough to stand out.
Uh-huh. Yeah. What is there ever a solution to that? You will there ever be one? Do you think, like, how, what, you know, I get that in music a lot of times, and you know, that's a constant scenario where everybody wants to make music, but there are only 4 or 5 people that you're actually hearing on the radio, and it's hard for anybody to really come up with any answer for what can that ever change. Do you think in the movie industry or the reality shows, what is that ever going to go back, or are we just doomed?
No, we're just going to move forward where there's competition. It's kind of like a race, a marathon, where thousands of people start and one guy finishes first.
Oh, that's crazy. But so, in other words, a lot of people should keep their jobs or just do this for the love.
Never quit your day job. There's a writer, David Morrell, who wrote First Blood, which became Rambo.
Uh-huh.
He wrote a book about writing, and it's called Lessons Learned from a Lifetime of Writing. And the first paragraph, the first sentence, don't quit your day job.
The first sentence, I know that's right. Wow.
Don't quit your day job, because in this business, in order to make 52 weeks worth of paychecks, you have to be successful, and you're not going to be successful right away. And it's a competition. So if you can't beat everybody, you just do it because you enjoy it.
Right.
You have to win in order to make a living. You have to be the winner. Right. And it's very difficult to be the winner.
Right.
So it's like a marathon. Everyone loves running the marathon. They don't have to win it.
Right. Just do it because you enjoy it. Right. Now, with natural born filmmakers, when you know, where or eventually where will the people be able to go check out that movie?
Well, the way it works is there's a film festival I like in Monrovia, California, and Del Weston runs it. It's called Action on Film, AOF. And I put the short version of it in AOF this year because I've been going to AOF for years now. And I put the 30-minute version in, which is all I had done. And I'll be putting the finished feature version in next year in August. So it'll be there if the good Lord's willing and the creek don't rise.
Okay.
And I'm attempting to get it into a Hollywood film festival.
Okay.
Run by Gil Claveria, Shock Fest.
Okay.
So if I can beat the deadline and get it done before the deadline, then it should be in that. And those are times when you can sit in the seats and watch it on the movie screen, and you feel like you accomplished something. Right.
When you can sit down and watch your work that's completed, and sit and watch your masterpiece, then.
Yeah.
Right.
That's the bottom line, and it's difficult, but that's about all we get anymore. It's just that, and there's other angles. You can try to get distribution. Distribution is hard to get. They used to give you advance money called a minimum guarantee.
Right.
Nobody does that anymore unless it's a major movie.
Right.
And what's a minimum guarantee? Well, hey, let's say it's a major movie and it costs $100 million to make. $20 million.
Wow.
You've just lost $80 million.
Right.
You're hoping the audience buys it. So, but the minimum guarantees on independent films are almost impossible to get.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't have stars in your movie that are famous celebrities,
mm-hmm.
it's pretty tough to make any money out of a movie at all.
Right.
No matter what, no matter how good it is.
Right.
Or how bad.
Which includes the budget to hire these stars.
Yeah, you have to have the budget to hire them and make a better, bigger movie.
Right.
So it I would say that most artists have a serious problem, and that is they like to make art, they like to dance, they like to sing, they like to make movies, they like to write books, they like to write scripts,
right.
but they'll never make a living at it.
Right. So
and that's the dilemma we face, because almost everybody is flaky, and what are you going to get out of life? I mean, getting a job, sometimes people have to work 3 jobs to make ends meet.
Right. Yeah.
If they can get one job.
Yeah, as hard as it is.
Another issue.
Right. All right. Look, what we're gonna do, we're gonna let you get out of here, Steve. Listen, in a few days, I know you said you're filming the rest tomorrow, but let's set up some time for you to be able to come back and let us know how that filming went and share some more knowledge with everybody about the movie industry in general. You almost got me not wanting to say film now. You want me to say digital industry, as a matter of fact. I sound, crazy saying film, but it'd be great to have you come back if you could, find some time and let us know when you're not busy filming.
Yeah, I'd love to come back and share more fun and games of the film industry. And, in closing, film is a 4-letter word.
Uh-huh.
And so sometimes instead of cussing, you could say to someone, film you.
Film you. Okay.
Or go to film.
Go to film.
Or,
I'm gonna start using that one different as well.
It's like it's a 4-letter word. It's not what it used to be. But the good news is Dick Tracy always said there would be Dick Tracy watches, and there are Dick Tracy watches now. It's a good time for people to be alive and doing things, because the digital world allows us to make records, allows us to make films, it allows us to make television, and it allows us to communicate even on the internet and look at each other and talk to each other on FaceTime or on Skype.
Right.
So it's a great time to play with the toys and be creative.
Right. Okay. All right, Steve, it's been wonderful talking to you. We'll talk to you and catch up with you again soon. And
Thank you very much.
No problem. And we're gonna be looking out for natural born filmmakers as well. We'll talk to you soon, Steve.
Okay.
Bye,
care.
Y'all. Take care. That was amazing director Steve Oakley right here on the Keith Harris Show Global Network.